Welcome to another episode of Purchase to Profits. I'm Seth Ferguson. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our daily interviews with successful real estate investors. And I've put together the top 7 key market drivers I look at when analyzing a real estate market. Go to sethferguson.org to download your free copy. Our guest today is a small business and finance professional who develops personalized strategies for individuals and couples in a way that would make grandma proud. Amanda Neely joins us today. Amanda, welcome to Purchase to Profits. It's great to have you on the show.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I would love to have some grandma cookies right now or some, grandma baked chocolate chip cookies. That's awesome. All right. So I alluded to a little bit in your introduction. You work with couples and individuals to come up with a personalized solution. So tell us exactly what you're doing, because I left it kind of vague.
Yeah. So what I really do is listen to what people want and help them figure out how to get it. And typically that involves particular types of financial strategies. I consider myself a safe money expert. I like to think about how can you make sure you're not necessarily the rate of return of your money, but the return of your money, and making sure your money sticks with you over your lifetime, allows you to do the long-term things you want to do and the short-term things, and help balance those and figure out the right mix to make all of that happen.
Yeah, well, 100%. And when I'm speaking with potential investors, rule number 1, don't lose money. You want to preserve your capital first and then send it out and make it grow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so what's your typical client then? Because I know some people focus on different niches. Who would be the typical person that you work with?
Yeah, I love to work with people that are a little younger, maybe 28 to 45 range. I'm 35, my husband's 42. We started our own financial plan working with a really awesome guy named Mark Willis that I know has been on this podcast before, when I was 26, 28, somewhere around in there. And so I know how powerful that has already been for me and how powerful it will be going forward. So to be able to see what's that long-term impact of getting started early really excites me.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people, in the entrepreneur space, they're so focused on, what they're building right now. They don't really take a step back and look at the bigger picture. So maybe talk to us about what made you realize that it was time for you to sit down and really think about the big picture of your finances?
Yeah, so we had opened up a business ourselves as a brick and mortar coffee shop in downtown Chicago. It was really great. I loved that we had done that, but in starting that, we totally drained our savings. We had started paying off our student loans, but we're not anywhere close to paying them off. And then we had gone into further debt to get the business started. Within the business, there was debt. And we actually watched a documentary and realized just how close we were to the edge, and that a step in the wrong direction or an emergency could really, put us in a really hard place. So that's what helped us start to think, okay, we've got to do something better. We've got to put together a plan instead of just thinking year by year. We need to think 30, 40 years down the road, maybe even generations down the road. How do we do that? We don't know how. We need to find someone that can help us do that.
Especially, lots of real estate investors, we all want to leave a legacy. That's one of the reasons I'm doing it. I want to be able to pass something down to my son, and the tax implications, because you want to make sure the biggest chunk of the money actually passes on to your heirs rather than goes to the government.
Yeah. I love to ask people, do you have someone that you're in love with at the Internal Revenue Service?
That's right. Yeah, I don't think the IRS sends you a Valentine's Day card.
Right. Or I don't think you love them as much as your kids. Do you want to leave them as much or more as you leave your children?
Yeah, well, 100%. And it's always so exciting to me when I'm able to speak with people who think about tax in that way, and how you can minimize your tax, really optimize your portfolio, because the impact that it has on real people is huge. You could set up, let's say you're married and your spouse has to be taken care of. you can ensure your spouse is going to actually be living a decent life as long as you structure things the right way.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't think about that the surviving spouse is going to be filing as single instead of married. And they're going to have lower standard deductions, higher brackets, all those things. My mom, she's a widow. She gets mad at me every year when I do her taxes because she's like, I used to get a bigger return and now she doesn't.
Oh, 100%. So one of the things I want to talk to you about, because I would say, real estate investing on the one side is called an alternative investment. And then, so many financial planners don't really talk or don't have the education about real estate investing because, they don't get paid on it. So tell us about your take on real estate investing and how it fits into everything.
Yeah, I think real estate is amazing. Giving people a home and providing that sense of home for them, that has an impact on people's lives that's even greater than whatever return of investment or cash flow that you're going to be getting from that home. And so the social impact, like I'm all for that. And then to have the leverage that you have with real estate and with setting up your finances in order to leverage to do more real estate can bring lots of growth of your assets and your net worth that you can't get in any other way. And
Yeah.
so, the your real estate is a lot safer. It's a lot, there's still volatility, but there's not the volatility in the safe market. So, or in the stock market. So when I talk about being a safe money expert, I actually help people get their money out of the stock market and in a strategic way, if they want to invest in real estate, how to do that with leverage and cash flow and all those things. But also if they don't actually believe that the real estate is as safe as they want, maybe there are some alternatives. And so actually, in some ways, because I'm not thinking in the market, I'm not charging an asset under management fee, I can help you invest in real estate and I can still benefit from that transaction too.
Yeah, for sure. And one of I would say people new to real estate investing, they don't realize the tax benefits that come along, especially in these these commercial deals where it's syndicated or it's a fund structure. You can wipe out almost all of your tax just through depreciation and cost segregation. So even if you're making, let's say, a good return of, let's say it's a 15% IRR, you can still wipe out your tax bill. And so I like to say it's not what you earn, but it's what you keep in your pocket.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. So walk us through, let's say somebody comes to you, they're brand new, they've never thought about their long-term plan before. How does the conversation start and what's the process like?
Yeah, I ask them lots of questions to try to get an idea of what they're thinking short term, how to think about things long term, weighing one option or another option, throwing out some ideas, seeing what they think about them, and it's really about getting to know the person. Sometimes people don't know what their goals are, but they know their values. And those values are going to stick with them over their lifetime. People don't change their values very often. So if you can just align your money with your values, then the goals can come naturally from that.
Yeah.
Or some people know their goals, but they don't know the values behind them. And I can help dig in and help figure that out.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody should know their values. So give us some secrets with how you dig it out of people.
I just ask question after question after question. And sometimes the same question worded a different way makes all the difference.
Yeah.
So, what do you want to accomplish financially in life? Like picture yourself in your 80s. What is life like then? And what have you accomplished between now and then? Picture you're on your deathbed, you're surrounded by the people that you love. What are you leaving them that you're really proud of? That's the same question, the same outlook, just in a few different ways.
Yeah. And it's so important to know, your values and how they mesh with your goals, because the strategy you use to get to your goals is going to differ depending on, what really is going to fit best for you.
Right. We say, though, where you put your money makes it do different things.
I
And
like that.
sometimes choosing the tool will make your money do what you want it to do. You just have to make sure you find the right tool.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Kevin O'Leary. He says you send out your money like soldiers, and you want them to come back. So,
Yep. Yep.
so what sort of do you have any unique strategies? Because I know using a whole life insurance policy can be a really neat way of kind of putting your savings on turbo. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about those strategies?
Yeah. So, the cool thing about the type of whole life that we use is that you get a high early cash value, and it's also a participating company that you get the dividends for. You're a policy owner, but even when you take out some of your cash and use it to invest in real estate, you're not taking your own cash, so your cash keeps growing as if you didn't touch it, and you're paying a very minimal interest on what you've taken out. So I like to think of it as creating your own line of credit. And then instead of paying interest to a bank, you can pay it back to yourself instead. And that works really well as leverage to get a bank loan if you've got that down payment ready. And it also works really well in not breaking compound interest. Because you could save in a savings account, but once you take the money out, it's gone. Like you don't get the interest on it. So it has like that 1-2 punch to it to be able to do both things.
Yeah, I forget when I was first introduced to that, but it's so exciting because you could be earning, let's say, 5% in your policy, but then you could take that money, get a loan, and then go out and make, let's say, 12%, and then you're getting the arbitrage there, and it's really that turbo boost. I think that is one of the coolest things you can do.
Hmm. Yeah, that's exactly what I've been doing. I've been saving diligently, and now I've got that net worth built up in my policy, and I'm about to use it to buy my first property.
Okay, so let's talk about it. Let's talk about this. You are a listener of the show, and
Mhm.
you are diving into real estate investing. So, what made you realize that it was time to actually consider buying a property?
Yeah, so when I look at my little net worth graph, I see that I've gone from this far negative to that far positive. Just, pursuing financial health and security. And so seeing that positive amount in my policies and every all the places I have my money, I start thinking, okay, now I'm ready to leverage that, make more money with the money that I have. What does that look like? So far it's been all about small business, creating my own business. I love being an entrepreneur, but I know I'm doing what I love right now. I want to keep doing this, but I can deploy my money somewhere else, um, in something that takes a little less time than a business takes, and think through what could that be that's still safer than the stock market, as providing extra tangible value to people and aligns with my values in that way.
Yeah. So, what sort of properties are you looking at then? What do you want to acquire?
Yeah, so I need a primary residence for myself. The
Mhm.
question is, do I just buy a single family home? Do I buy a duplex? Do I try to buy a bigger multifamily and I live in one and rent out the others? What could I do? I also need an office, so maybe I just buy my single family and then I buy an office that I have an office there, but I can rent out other offices to maybe some professionals that align with would be good synergy for me. There's lots of possibilities. I'm trying to figure out which one to go with.
Okay. And so, how are you trying to figure out? I find this fascinating because, like, you're brand new to the space. How are you going about deciding which option is going to be the best for you?
Yeah. So I know the city I want to be in. I know that if for my primary residence, I want to be in a good school district because I have a 1-year old and I'm thinking about school for him. And then from there, I'm kind of seeing what's out there, what's available. It just so happens that the city that I'm looking in doesn't have a lot of spaces that are like an office on the first floor or like a storefront and then spaces above it, like we have in Chicago. That would have been cool, but the city I'm looking at doesn't have that option. So I'm kind of feeling out what's available there. And then I'm listening to podcasts like yours to learn what other people are doing, what I can learn from them. I know eventually I'm going to want to network with some other real estate investors in that city, see what they're doing in particular, find a good real estate agent. There's the list of things that are on my to-do list.
Well, you should just tell us what city you're looking in, and then we can help you out.
Yes, it's Cincinnati, Ohio.
Cincy, hey, you know what? I have about 20 people I can hook you up with in Cincy, and they will
Awesome.
tell you the best things to do.
Great.
Awesome.
I'm originally from just outside Cincinnati, and I have family there, so that's part of why we're looking there.
Yeah, Cincinnati is quickly becoming a pretty concentrated bunch of real estate investors. A lot of people are moving to Cincy.
Yeah, there's some really great stuff going on there within neighborhoods to revitalize them, but not push the people out that are from within those neighborhoods. And that was also part of what attracted me to that city.
Yeah. And I really like how you were thinking about, doing like the house hacking thing, like people are calling it, where you have somebody renting from you. I wish I did that when I bought my first property because it makes such a big impact. Somebody's basically paying your mortgage off for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's talk about your long-term vision because you talk with your clients for long-term vision. So let's do this for real estate. So you're going to buy this property. You're going to have some sort of rental component to it. When are you acquiring your next rental?
Great question. So some of that depends on how good I am at my business, how much money I'm making, when do I again have a lump sum that I want to deploy and leverage for something greater? Hopefully that's not too long into the future because I'm being diligent and doing my activities every day to grow my business. So let's just say within 3 years.
3 years, okay. And looking ahead, so you've got your financial plan. How big of an impact or how big of a chunk does real estate have in your plan?
Yeah. So because I've got, this strategy through my life insurance policy, that really is my alternative to like an IRA or a 401k. I want that money to be there when I retire. And, but also if I'm building cash flow outside of that through renting properties, then maybe I don't need to rely as much on the cash that's in my policy. And that's more of my emergency fund or backup kind of money. So there's kind of those two options. Do I want to have the cash flow that covers my monthly expenses and that's coming from real estate, or maybe an annuity would be another alternative to that? Or do I want a big pile of money that then I can live off of the growth that maybe lives within my policy or policies, a whole family of policies? And what I actually see could be a great combination of the two. That a portion, so then I'm kind of hedging my bets. If the real estate market goes down, I know I've got this other thing to rely on. Or if dividend rates are kind of low within my policy, I can rely on the cash flow from my real estate. And I think that's kind of the mix that I'm looking for. But I don't know percentage-wise how much to do to both yet.
Yeah, I find it, once in a while, there's a really good graph. It has like 3 different graphs on it. And it looks like asset allocation with like your typical middle income family, I think it's up to $10 million in net worth, and then it's 100 million plus in net worth. And you see, the average family, most of their wealth is in their single family residence, and then it's very small in, stocks, businesses, commercial real estate. But then it's almost a total flip when you get into the ultra wealthy, where it's all business, all commercial real estate, and the principal residence is almost nothing. It has no impact on their net worth at all. And I find that such a powerful visual representation of what most people are doing, but how we have to change the way we think about it and model what the wealthiest people are doing, because it makes such a big impact.
Right. Have you heard of Exter's pyramid?
No, I haven't.
So it's an inverted pyramid, and this guy, I think his name is John Exter, created this pyramid. He was born in 1904, passed away in the 2000s sometime. And he created this pyramid in the 70s when we were experiencing hyperinflation and people were kind of scared of what was happening. And it basically gives you a picture of how to allocate your assets so that you can withstand any financial storms that happen, even some of the most severe financial storms, like the Great Depression or something like that.
Yeah.
And he actually has at the bottom of the pyramid's gold. He's saying, you should maybe have a little bit of gold in a safe in your home, for the really, really, hard times when there's zombies or whatever.
Yeah.
But then right above that is liquid assets. So that's what I'm thinking about with my whole life insurance. A lot of people might not think that's liquid, but that's paper money. It's just with a life insurance company, I have access to it anytime I need it, as long as I have a bank account and the banks are open and I can get that money. But higher up is real estate. And it's actually pretty big in this pyramid. It's, at the top of the funnel, and it gives you that more stable asset. It's not fluctuating as much, but it is harder to convert to liquid assets. Or in the case of a zombie apocalypse, there might be squatters in there, and then you get squatters' rights issues and all of that. So, and when I think about the mix, I'm thinking along those terms too, because I can't predict the future, but there's always financial storms, and I want to make sure I'm ready, not just to survive them, but take advantage of them, that I can have that liquid pool of money to then go buy a bunch of real estate when the market crashes again.
Yeah.
Because I believe that will happen at some point. So I want to make sure I'm thinking along those lines as well.
Yeah. How do you spell that?
EXTER, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to look it up. And it kind of goes. I like all these, visual. I'm a visual person, so like I like these visual representations. And same thing with Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant, right? Like you want to be on the right side of the quadrant, owning businesses and investing versus self-employed and self-employed and employee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So looking ahead, do you see any big changes coming up with how people should be changing their financial plans? Like, over the next 20 years, what sort of challenges do you see people having when it comes to financial planning?
Yeah, there's a lot of challenges. The big one is that I hear from a lot of people that I work with in their 60s is that they wish they would have started sooner. And the challenge that comes if you wait is that you might feel that same way. Reach your 50s or 60s and say, oh no, I'm behind the 8 ball now. I need to really hustle to make something happen. Whereas if you got started in your 20s and 30s or 40s, like that puts you in a good position, right? So that's probably one of the big challenges. And then there's going to be 140 million people turning 65 over the next 10, 20 years, however long it is. I forget the exact number, from the boomers and the Xers. There's still a lot of boomers that aren't 65 yet. And one of my good friends likes to say, the whole country is going to look like Florida.
Yeah, we'll have to pull up our socks and, socks with sandals.
Yeah, that presents some really great opportunities in terms of real estate, because a lot of people in their older years like to rent instead of own, or downsize, things like that. But there's a big challenge in terms of healthcare and, especially like the younger people having to take care of those older people, whether they're our family members or because we're going to be taxed more heavily to help cover their Medicare and Social Security costs, or all the different things that can come with that. I think that's going to be a huge challenge, and what better way to take advantage of that than making sure you've got liquid cash and real estate?
Yeah, 100%, and especially since we're on a real estate show, we'll emphasize the real estate part.
Right.
Yeah. So tell us about the impact, because you were in your 20s when you sat down, did the financial plan. Tell us the impact it's had on your life, because now you've got a 1-year-old who's going to be running around pretty soon. Well, how has that changed your life so far?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is when I look at that net worth report, like I was talking about, it's gone from as far negative to as far positive. Like it's now more the same amount positive as it was negative when I first started, which is really exciting. And then it's also given, I'm a worrier. I come from a family of worriers. I have so much more calm and, serenity about my finances now. I'm not, when the stock market goes down, I actually do a little happy dance because I'm not worried about it. And I know more people are actually going to be coming to me because they're freaking out, about what's happening. I have this opportunity now to purchase a property and explore all the options. I wouldn't have had that had I not made a plan and started diligently following that plan.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's used the word serenity when they're describing. So this is the first time on the show. I like that though.
Thanks. I try to avoid the word peace because someone else has a corner on the financial peace market.
Yeah, we'll have to trademark serenity for you. Financial serenity. Okay. Trademark. That's awesome. So Amanda, if somebody's looking to reach out, learn more about what you're doing, maybe reach out, get in touch. Where can they find you?
Yeah, simplest thing is to go to grandmaswealthwisdom.com, and there you can request a meeting, you can listen to podcasts, you can do all kinds of things from that site.
No, it sounds good. And then you should have a free coupon for cookies or something.
I should. We're trying to figure out a good cookie recipe or a good cookie company that we could send to clients as congratulations or something like that.
Yeah, if you need a taste tester, let me know.
Okay.
Sounds good. Well, Amanda, just want to say thanks so much for taking the time and sharing some really useful information with the audience.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. And to you, our viewers, I wish you well on your journey from purchase to profits. See you next time.